Hey everybody, welcome back to our channel, Life with the Hoods. And today is the day that I have been dreaming about. I've been so excited about. We are finally going to finish our kitchen. Yay! Y'all, look, we had to get our little gear on, to make us to get it together. Look at him. Okay, y'all, so look, we doing the backsplash. We are finally gonna do this backsplash, so we want y'all to, hang out with us, chill with us. You guys sit back and relax and enjoy us. Now I had to get down there to that big box store, Home Depot, to get all of my items to prepare myself to do this project. I started off buying this really big roll of construction paper, if you will, thinking like, oh, okay, I want to make sure that I cover, my counters, protect them well, because, we had recently redid these counters. But y'all, I did not realize how thick it was and was like, yeah, this is a waste of time, but we still gonna use this roll because I do so many projects, especially with painting, spray painting, and we still got to paint the kitchen. So nevertheless, I said, let me just put this on the floor, just in case it gets a little out of hand with all these materials. And I'm just going to pull out my good old plastic that I also got from Home Depot to make sure that I am protecting my counters, because it was easy to tape down. I don't know why I didn't think about this in the beginning, but as long as we're protecting what we've already, did in one of our first projects, that's all that matters. I tell everyone the first step with doing any project is the preparation. Go ahead and prepping. Prepping properly will take you a long way. I promise you. It may take some time. If you got to do it the day before for your projects, do it. But take the time to prep. Now, step 1 is done. That was the prep. Step 2, we went in to remove all of the outlet covers. We have a galley style kitchen, so we had a lot of outlets running along this wall. So removing all the outlets, covers, making sure we have all the screws together. We moved over to a different area, along with unscrewing the actual outlet, because you're going to have to pull it out a little bit. And of course, before you do all this, you want to cut the power. If you don't cut the power and you got time to be down in somebody's emergency room, then be my guest, half at it. But we cut this power. Now, after 20 minutes of arguing, like any husband and wife couple would do on a DIY project, we finally agreed on what end we're going to start with. So, of course, we wasn't recording because we forgot. But we set up our beam to kind of get the points to where we can start it and make sure everything is leveled. And we are using 3x12-ish tiles, and I say ish because they're handmade, so of course they're all not going to be the exact 3x12, but 3x12 tiles. And we picked our point, figured out our pattern. Of course, you want to do an offset brick pattern. That's what we decided to do. Now, because we are extreme amateurs, I wanted to kind of get a lot of stuff that was already pre-mixed or whatever that helps us move this project along pretty fast. So that's what type of glue we have. It's kind of like an already all-in-one, whatever that means. And it's a little bit more pricey, if you will, but I pay for convenience, so that's all right with me. So, y'all, we're using the glue, putting it on the wall, and we're just putting our tiles up. We make sure we're putting the spacers in there. And when we finally got started, y'all, we was on a roll. You understand me? We didn't know what we was doing. My husband, he was in there. He doing the measuring, baby. He was getting up in there. And because we did a offset brick pattern, I had to do a lot of cuts. This little hand cutter, very inexpensive, and was definitely getting the job done. I definitely believe that if you want to do some tile work with just, you only have to do a lot of straight cuts and you don't have to worry about outlets and stuff, go ahead and get that hand tile cutter. It's so easy. But when you're working with something like we have, and it's this wall with all these outlets, and it was so many crazy cuts, I think it was best to okay, we should get a tile cutter. But I was just really kind of, nervous about a tile cutter because, I don't really deal with power tools, never been around them, never had to use them, and kind of I was kind of scared a little bit.
So I was like, you know what, we could do this with this straight cutter, we can get the job done. And so, we just trying it out. So basically all you doing is just following the pattern, baby, putting this glue on the back of this wall. And some of them you may have to back butter just in case if it's like a weird situation or area that you need to get in. And when I say back butter, that means just instead of putting the glue on the wall, you may have to put some directly on the back of the tile, back buttering. Now, again, because we were just using the straight tile cutter, and we amateurs doing what we were doing, around this outlet, it was getting real funky around that point, y'all. So we was in there arguing, trying to figure out which way to go, how we going to do, how to cover this up or whatever. So what we decided to do was, okay, we're just going to cut a little piece and put it at the top of that outlet, and it's going to be covered once we put the, outlet cover back on there. It's not going to look so bad. But in actuality, what we should have done was made a funky little cut with a towel cutter and covered it. That's what you would have done originally. But it's day one and we are kind of learning as we go, and doing as much as we could. For some reason, y'all, I kept kicking that laser throughout the whole day. So, and my husband's getting mad because it was like messing up the lines. Y'all, I was in there on that man's nerve. Do you hear me? His last nerve. But see, as y'all see, he kind of figured it out to, make a funky cut with, without doing a straight cutter. He has like some tool that he used or whatever and was able to get it done. And then at that moment, he was like, yeah, in the morning, and we will be getting up, going to get a tabletop wet saw towel cutter. And I was like, oh, okay, whatever, sir, And then I kind of like watched videos and I was like, you know what? Okay, yeah, this cool. I'll be able to do this. I want to get in there and get my hands wet and cut some tiles and really do all the said things. So I was like, okay, cool. But we're just going to finish this day out with doing as many cuts as possible to try to get this all done. Because we originally planned to have this completed in a weekend. So for day one, we just finished out this one wall, got as many pieces up as possible, continued doing our cuts with a hand saw. Again, we had to do a little back buttering. If you had to do measuring because you want to make your grout lines cohesive with your pattern. And remember, I told y'all, I kept kicking and moving this daggone laser. I was on this man's nerve with it. So all you professional tile cutters out there or tile installers, y'all don't come in these comments and tell us up. We are extreme amateurs. We was in there getting it done, y'all. I'm putting them spacers in there, baby. Y'all can't tell me nothing at this point right here. Do you hear me? We was in there getting it in, making sure that we had straight tile up on the wall and that we were leaving the correct amount of space for our grouting. And if you look closely and look at that first row of tile, we have some little pennies in there. That's kind of holding the tile up as a spacer as well. We kind of wanted to make a little bigger gap there. So when we come back in and install the caulking, we kind of just want to make sure we had enough space for that. Now, here we are again around that outlet, and it's getting real tricky once again. So we did the best way we could, using whatever little tool he has outside, to kind of make a funky looking cut around this tile piece. So yeah. And y'all, as I told y'all before, it got a little tricky in that corner. We had to sit back for a second and think on, okay, well, this ain't long enough. How can we scoot this over to try to end our tile so we don't have too many ugly cuts. We want to make sure the outlets covered it. Then, we found out, you can get a bigger outlet cover where it'll cover up, a funky looking cut. They get called like a king outlet. We was like, cool, we'll just, go and buy some of those. So we really weren't too much tripping with, a quote unquote ugly cut, if you will. So, we go back in, back buttering more pieces, getting it in there, making sure they're level. That's what's really important, that they're level, because if they're not, it's in a tile, it's kind of like crooked, and you get in your kitchen, it's going to draw your eye to it, it's going to stand out, and it's probably going to drive you crazy if you're a person like me. So we just made sure that everything was level and was getting it in there. as best as possible. And we are almost finished. We just had to do a few little cuts and make sure we got it in nice and neat. And I'm going to show you what it looked like. Okay, we have the back wall complete, and so far so good. We kind of went back in and put those small little pieces in, and things look okay. It is officially day 2, and we are getting a late start on the actual project because we got up that morning and we went to get that tabletop wet saw towel cutter. We had to come up with a plan with this wall because, and I'm gonna tell y'all why. This wall was so tricky because at the bottom part of our wall, our countertops already came with the quote-unquote backsplash, and I say that because it's a laminate countertops. So because the countertops on each left and right side are maybe like almost an inch or a quarter inch or something taller than the backsplash on the long wall, there's gonna leave to get our tiles all lined up. It was gonna be a big gap. Okay, we kind of knew that from the beginning of starting this project. That's what really took us so long to get the project started, because we was kind of nervous about it. We ain't gonna say we. I was kind of nervous. Let me correct it. I was kind of nervous because I was trying to figure out like how were we gonna get that fixed. So we came up with a plan to just make a bigger space. And once we install our tile, we'll figure it out. What you see, those silver parts that my husband was cutting and measuring, it's kind of like an end cap, if you will, with tile. Because when you put the tile up, you don't want to see a raw tile finish. You want kind of like a cap on the end of it. Now, because we had to like rig this up, we had to make really thin tile cuts, and we were able to do that with that wet saw. So my husband was going back and placing small little tile pieces up under the cabinet so it can be flush. Now, originally we was gonna like leave this area in the middle here to like put a shelf. Well, put 2 shelves, but for some reason I was like, no, I want to take the tile up a little higher. So my son came in from outside and he was like, Mom, can I help? Y'all, he loves to help with every project. So we let him get in. He had safety glasses on at first because he was outside with his dad watching him cut the tile. But he wanted to get in and put some tile in or whatever. So we let him do it because my son hardly loves to build stuff. He loves to learn. So he's getting in, put some tile, putting spaces in. We're teaching him how this process works. And one thing about a project that we have going on in the Hood household, family always get together and help out. That's what I enjoy the most with doing with my boys. I love it and wouldn't trade anything in the world for it. Now we did get some floating shelves to install, and so we're gonna end the cap here, and of course we put another metal piece there. So, just want to have that finished look. Now we probably wouldn't be able to see it because of the shelf, but at that time I was like, let me just go on and put these here just in case I change my mind. Now we're down to these sides to where I wanted to start here first because like I just was so over it. But my husband's like, no, we're gonna do the other side first. But we just gonna follow the pattern. So you'll do a half one, then a long one, then a short. Y'all know about patterns. Put your spaces in, but because we had these outlets, of course you had to do those cuts. And again, I was telling y'all how the countertops are set, so we leave a bigger space. For the caulking to go in. Now here come my husband thinking he the general contractor, making sure that everything is leveled and that I was doing it right. And then he just kind of like, you know what, get out the way, move. No project, goes done with any couple without some arguing and trying to figure it out. I tell anybody, you want to know if your marriage or your relationship gonna last, get in there and do a DIY project with that person. And by the time y'all been fussing and fighting and arguing, and when it's done, and y'all can stand back and look at your work and like, man, look, we can complete it. And then y'all can move on and be like, all right, well, let's do another one. Marry that person. I'm telling you, marry that person. Because listen, this was a knockout, drag out fight with this towel. We were so over it. We was running out of glue because I realized and learned later, clearly I was putting too much glue in there because I had to go back and clear like the spacing. And that is a great pro tip for everyone. Make sure you're keeping your spacing clear of that glue because you don't want it to show through your grout. So I had to go back and with a actually a little yellow tool that I was using, I had to pop some of that glue out to keep space in there, so when it's time to put my grout in, everything will lay flat and it'll look good. Now you would want to pull your stove out. I ain't have time for that, baby. I slapped that stuff on the wall and kept it going because I said, who gonna see it? The stove right there. And guess what? It worked for me. It's officially day 3. We had let the towel dry overnight. And again, I went back and popped those, pieces of glue that was poking through my grout lines. And baby, let me add this grout. Y'all heard my son talk to, oh, it look easy. I want to do it. And I'm like, no, let me do it. And then my husband like, nah, don't get it everywhere. Y'all, he jinxed me, and then I ended up putting it all inside that outlet. But, it was all right because, again, the power was cut. And so since we was doing this, for a couple of days, once we finished working in the kitchen, we would go ahead and cut our power back on to the kitchen. And then once we would get in there and start working, we'll cut it back off. So my husband had mixed the grout outside, followed the directions on the bag. It was really, really simple. And you just add this grout in, and you have to put it in at a 45-degree angle. So I was getting up in there, child. I was not using my fingers. My husband was standing back supervising, as y'all can see, because he was saying he was a general contractor, but whatever. So yeah, I was just getting it in there, and I was, doing a 45-degree angle, left or right. Then I was going straight up because you want to make sure that you're getting it from each area and your grout lines are getting full. So it's going to look a little messy, but you have to trust the process. That was something I was just learning the whole time because I was like, I don't know if I'm putting a lot in. But as I'm doing it, I'm like, okay, so it's filled this way. Let me go the opposite direction. Let me make sure I'm getting the grout inside and it's looking, filled, y'all. And I did this pewter. I want to say it was pewter. And it's going to bring the veining out from my countertops. That was my vision, instead of doing a white or something. Because you could do white. You could pick whatever, color you want. But I wanted this gray. So, getting it in there, it was getting kind of crazy. It was getting out on the cabinets, y'all. But I was like, let me just get it all on first. You see, I'm just doing my float every which way. Baby, turning it every which way but loose. Do you hear me? Y'all can't tell me nothing. Go ahead and get me on a job site. I was in there doing the thing. You hear me? I feel real oh my God, I lay tile. I'm a tile cutter. I don't know the job title, but it just sounds good. Y'all, I'm in here having a ball doing this. It started getting easier, and I was like, okay, I was feeling more confident. Y'all see my husband went back and put tape on the outlets since I had put a lot of grout in one of them. Now, was I going crazy in there with that grout? Absolutely. But hey, it's a lesson learned. I was getting in there, getting it done. I was getting it all over the wall outside of the towel and the towel cap. But that didn't make, I didn't care about that because we still had to paint the kitchen. I was painting the kitchen walls was going to be the last thing we did. So I didn't care about it was getting kind of all over the place. But y'all see, I'm getting it in them grout lines. And I did the back wall and I said, okay, by the time I do this little small portion over here, let it dry for a little bit. it'll be time to wipe the other side down. So, this was all done in the same day. Didn't take long at all. Now, once this side completed, it's time to move back to our original starting point and to wash this. Y'all, this was a process. Let me tell you. So what you will want to do is get a bucket of cold water, get you a sponge, and you want to wring all the water out as much as possible. You will want to do a one swipe with the sponge and rinse the sponge and swipe it again. You don't want to create too many wipes with the same sponge because guess what? You're going to get this graying look on your towel. So again, one wipe, rinse, wipe again, rinse. So once I really figured it out, I was like, yeah, okay. So I do my one wipe and I kind of was like turning the sponge to like use it on the area that has not been used before to try to, get some of it off. And I also was doing it in that 45-degree angle to remove the excess grout off. And you want to get all this off because you do not want that grout to dry on the towel. It'll, mess your towel up. You'll be in there trying to get it off forever. Baby, we was in here wiping down forever. My husband finally came in there and was like, all right, I'll help you. And so he had another sponge. So I, did one wipe. He would come behind me. He was doing a second wipe. Listen, the bending down with that bucket almost took me to glory. Do you understand me, y'all? Baby, I have a bad back. I've had 4 children and 4 epidurals, and I was not ready. So y'all see my husband came in. He was like, babe, okay, when you go ahead and wipe, I'll come behind you with another sponge and do a little wipe. So we was in there wiping several times that night, trying to hurry up and get it done and completed. But it was washing right off. It's just the process of you have to do it several times. Okay, now we have wiped this about how many times you think? 3, at least 3, and I think it's looking pretty good. For us to be some real amateurs, I think it looks pretty decent. Okay, now after doing about 3 or 4 wipe downs, a little clean up so you see, the countertops. We just gotta add our caulking, but it's coming along. Next, we end up putting down some tape to get our caulking line straight and not make a mess. So let that dry, pull that tape off, and I told you guys the caulking, it was a matching color of our grout, so everything matches. Okay, so now the caulking has been done, and I think we did a pretty, decent job. For first timers, I think we did a pretty decent job. Now, I think so far so good. We are turning out great. But I want to take you guys back and to show you what our kitchen started out as. This was the original kitchen. I am not a cherry wood color fan, but hey, this is what they have. So I wanted to paint my cabinets. Painting my cabinets, I always hate the countertops. I said, let me make some faux marble countertops. Did that. Now, I need my backsplash. Bam. So I did that. Y'all, let me show y'all what it looked like all together. Guys, I am so proud of how this kitchen turned out. And we did it with our own hands, me and my family. It turned out so amazing. We went ahead and painted the kitchen. We added this shelf. I'm going to link everything that we used. Did it turn out 100% accurate, everything? No. But we did it. We also added some under cabinet lights, which are some rechargeable lights. I love the way this looks. Guys, comment below and let us know what you think. How did we do? If you guys enjoyed this video, like it, share it, subscribe to our channel. We'll see you in the next video.